We didn't come to climb the mountain. We came to be the mountain. And what that means is after we finish our climb, we become the mountain for the next entrepreneur who's going to climb up after us so that they can fulfill their mission and they can fulfill their individual definition of success.
Welcome to another Motivational Monday. My name is Matthew Hodge, Executive Vice President here at LPT Realty. We've got a little bit of an echo happening here inside studio. I'm joining you from LPT headquarters here in Lake Mary, Florida, and we are bringing Robert Palmer, founder and CEO, back to the studio.
And I'm joining you here from LPT headquarters.
Yes.
It's fantastic for the first time in
4 months.
3.5, 4 months. Yeah, it feels good to be back.
It does, man. It feels nice to talk to you in person, like a normal thing instead of coordinating across the screen. And studio, it's great. So we're happy to have you back here today. We're gonna be going through quite a few things today. We're gonna be talking about industry news, rising leaders. We've got the new Real Trends report going out. We're excited to talk through all of these things today. But before we do, how was your weekend, man?
Dude, my weekend was great. It felt good to be back in Florida. Spent some time at the house with the girls. They came back a few days before me. I had an event down in South Florida. So Reagan's back in school, dropped the 2 girls off this morning. Feels good to be home, ready to get back in a different kind of grind. No matter where I am in the world, I'm working, but it's a different kind of grind when we're here. We've got SpringCon coming up next week, which is going to be fantastic. Just a lot of really good stuff going on. Really the next couple of months, going to Austin for the Housing Wire Gathering Conference. Speaking there, we're doing a team growth meeting there for our TG Plus and TG Pro members. Just a lot of really good things on the agenda over the next probably 2 months, and it's all about taking advantage of this spring home buying season. All about making this market work for us, right?
Yeah,
that's what we're here to do.
That's right. Okay, I've got one more personal question, Joe, just out of curiosity.
Let's go.
So I know that most people get into a routine. You've got the summer routine, when the kids are out of school. Everyone builds a routine to help them go. But you're traveling so frequently. You're in, when you're in Montana, then you're down in South Florida, and you're here. How do you maintain a routine?
They're all different, right? Different time zones. I think the time zone thing is really what's interesting because I move around a lot. But most of the people I'm talking to are in Eastern time or they're in a set time zone.
Right.
And so things kind of float around, right? Here, everybody knows when I'm taking the girls to school, that's my time, dad time. I'm not going to answer my phone. Don't call me. But then I drop them off at 8:15 here. Phone starts ringing. Well, in Montana, that's 10:45 Eastern time because I drop them off at school at 8:45 out there. So there's these weird gaps in the day. But I think I got that pretty quick, man. I just stay focused, stay head down, and it really is nice to to be able to move around and see different parts of the country. And I don't take for granted the blessed life that I live.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We've talked a lot about consistency and how to build that, and so we're going to be covering that on Real Estate First Friday. How to build habits that allow you to be more consistent, how to give yourself rewards and fall into a rhythm. So just was curious to hear it from you since, you're constantly having to kind of readjust that.
I think one of the big things, and we can talk about this later in the show, is this idea of measuring the output versus measuring the result.
Yeah.
It's something that, especially in our industry, it's so hard. But I think what can happen is if we get too focused on the result, which is easy, right? Because the result is what feels good. And I've talked about this before. Social media has made the results more accessible for certain activities, right? I'm going to put a post up and I'm going to know how many likes and comments and shares I got within 48 hours. And so there's this instant result, right? Where the output is really what we have to focus on. And so in our industry, that's well, how many open houses am I holding? How many of my sphere am I talking to? How many, people that have inquired about properties in the past am I following up with? How many people that dropped off business cards, at a listing I had or whatever? What am I doing to stay in touch? And what type of outreach and output am I putting out there? And we get so focused on the result, right? Well, I don't have a closing right now. I don't know what's going on. Well, you got to look at that output. And so for me, I think I learned really early on in my career to really focus on that output. And so no matter where I am, where I'm traveling, what I have going on, I'm always focusing on the output because I'll tell you this, for whatever reason, the result feels more detached to me when I'm in Montana. And I don't know if it's the time of year, right? Because I'm there kind of in the winter when things aren't happening as much, or it's hey, when I'm in Florida, it's more in-person meetings. I'm seeing our agents at events like SpringCon. We had FallCon last year. And so the result maybe feels more immediate. And so each year I have this test myself. I go into a place where the result feels more detached. And I recognize that makes doing the work harder. I know it makes doing the work harder for all of us. And so I've really always been very disciplined on staying focused on my output, like what I can control. You can't control when your consumer decides to put a house under contract. You can't control when your consumer decides it's finally time to come off the sidelines and list their house. You can control the fact that you're going to check in with them every single week,
Right.
so that when the time is right, you are top of mind. You can control that you're going to go hold open houses, even if maybe you're not getting the traffic you want. And if you're not getting the traffic you want, how do we fix that? More output. Are you door knocking the neighborhood before the open house starts? What are the things you're doing? What are those activities? And so if we can move into this mindset of output, what is the output I'm putting out today? And a lot of us don't track output. Like this is, again, some things we have to focus on. Like, we know how many closings we have. We know how many contracts, maybe we know how many contracts we have. I hope we know how many contracts we have, but focusing on that output, I think, is really what's critical. And again, it's a big part of, I think, my ability to achieve the success I have, and then more importantly, be able to stay focused as I do move around. I really compartmentalize my days. There's the window I'm dad taking them to school. There's the window I'm dad doing story time at night, bedtime. And then there's these windows of time where I can completely control the output. Ultimately, I think once you live in that mindset, it's freeing.
Yeah.
It's empowering, right? Because you are back in control. I think one of the most frustrating parts of this business early on for me was being super focused on the results and having things happen that are out of our control, right? We can do everything right, and the sellers get divorced the day before closing, and now everything has to start over, or hey, you've got a buyer who's about to close and they go buy a new car, even though we told them 50 times not to, or whatever's going on, or they spent the down payment money and, now they can't close. Like, all of these things can happen, and that's frustrating, right? And so my original solution for this was writing software. Like, it's how I really got deep into writing code, because after a day of the chaos, after not controlling the results for so long in our industry, in mortgage and real estate, by writing code, I knew it would do what it's supposed to do, right? Like, if I put in the right output, if I did what I was supposed to do, the result was always perfect. That's how code works. And I think that mentally then helped me make this leap to trust the output, right? Trust doing the work. And it's hard to do, but it is freeing because you control that. Like, if you're like, man, I'm supposed to have 2 closings today and they both blow up, like, nothing of your fault. You didn't control that, but you control if you're going to show up and do the work and hold the open houses and check in with your people, or, if you're going to send those handwritten letters, if you're going to go door knock that neighborhood. Like, these are things you absolutely control. And to me, there's just something very peaceful about measuring those results. And so at the end of the day, like, I know I hit all my output, and then I know the result will come.
Fantastic answer. And I think that is the part that we all battle through, right? It's like, you want the result, and maybe you are putting your motivation on the result, but sometimes you can't control the results. All you can control is the output, and that will give you the best opportunity to have the best results. But, sometimes it's just that little mind shift that can help that feel a little easier to swallow.
What I realize is the results will always come. It's a matter of when.
Right.
And that's the piece that's tough. And because, look, our bills come every month, right? Like,
yeah, right on time.
like mortgage, rent every month, school tuition for kids, like, all these things are every month. Food, you got to pay for it every day. Like, and so I understand there's a financial impact of this, but if you can get to that place in life where you can really just stay focused on the output, the thing you control, doing the work, the result will come. It's just a matter of when. And for people who fail in this business, it's usually they don't do the work.
Yeah.
They don't do the output. But then the other thing is they don't wait long enough for the result. They can't hang on.
Yeah.
And so a lot of how we built the LPT model was really built to help people hang on longer, right? Like, not having a monthly fee, not having a joining fee, not taking 20% on those first couple of deals before somebody caps. It's all about helping them hang on longer, because that, we know, is one of those enemies of success. And so if we can solve those 2 things, how do we help you focus on the output, which great tools like listing power tools and great reminders like Motivation Monday, Real Estate First Friday, all the amazing training we have that's recently been recognized by Training Magazine, our Ascend Initiative University, outstanding, training initiative. From that to a financial model that gives you as much runway as possible, during those tougher times of the year, when someone's first getting started, when a new team member joins a team, all of these things that we know are those tougher points. We tried to make them easier, because look, when things are good, right? When things are good, it really works anywhere. Yeah. And that was a big part of why we launched LPT into this bust. We purposely launched LPT into a 4 million annual home sales level, the lowest level in 30 years. I thought it would last a year or two. We're now on year 4 or 5 of it. I guess year 4 of it. January being one of the worst months in history, 3.9 million annualized home sales, existing home sales. But we know if we continue to do the work, it's just more delayed. The results are more delayed and the results are coming. And we wake up focused every day on making sure that all of you are in the best possible position to take advantage of those results when they come, because they will come. The results are coming. There is no world where more people don't start buying and selling houses. Just all of this pent-up demand. We've talked about Boomsday. We've talked about the coiled spring. And yes, things are going to happen like the conflict in the Middle East, which are going to continue to push that out. But we all know that every month the gratification is delayed. Every month the Boomsday is delayed just means it's going to be that much bigger when we get there. And so it's our job to stay focused on doing the work, focused on the output, the thing we control.
That's right. That's right. I love it, man. Well, thank you for taking the time to walk us through that. Hopefully that speaks to someone who could potentially need to hear that today, or who's maybe going through that stall point where you are putting out the output. You're just not quite getting the result that you need quite yet. And we know that's a difficult period of time. So we're here for you. Want you to know that is a normal part. It's not unique to just you. And we get it. Everyone's path is different, just like your thumbprint. Like, it's unique. Everyone's got their own version of getting to where they want to go. But some similarities are going to be that we all have to fight through that period of time.
I think a lot of people say things like, oh, it's always darkest before dawn, right? Or I've had a lot of people tell me that like their biggest success breakthrough comes after this like absolute period of it being the worst.
Yeah.
Well, what that is that's timing, right? Why is it darkest? Why right before a really great period is it absolutely the worst? Because things are pushing forward, things are moving out, right? The results that are out of our control are getting moved out and moved out and moved out. And so by surviving that darkest moment, by surviving that bottom, that's what creates the acceleration. That's what creates the time when it feels like that massive business breakthrough. And I hear this from so many entrepreneurs, a lot in our business, but elsewhere as well. But just this idea of like, yeah, like I almost went broke. I almost gave up. I almost threw in the towel. I was going to quit on real estate. I was going to let it go. And then it was just like, boom, everything turned around. That literally that's the natural progression, right? Because as crazy as that sounds, the worse things are getting, the more you're just loading up for the rebound. You're loading up for that next window of success in your business. And that's what fools people. That's what tricks people into giving up or quitting. And again, we have to survive that little dip. And again, no matter where you are in your business arc, there are always these periods, right? I have a good friend, team leader doing 1,000+ units a year. There's still these windows of time when you can feel that way. If you're trying to get from 0 deals to 5 deals a year, whatever those numbers are, this is the natural arc. And so when it can absolutely feel the worst is usually when things are loading up to break free, because the more things are delaying, the more they're just lining up to happen in the future. And if we can shift our mindset to think about that, that's how we win, man. That's how we go nuclear.
All right. Well, let's get into some brokerage updates. Speaking of going nuclear, we continue to grow. So we're going to talk through some of those things today. We haven't spoken about international in a little while. We haven't spoken about Canada. So walk us through what's happening there.
Yeah, so a lot of success there. We brought Michael Valdez in about 18 months ago now to be the CEO of LPT International, which is our entity that is, launching our non-US based brokerage. And we launched Canada first, a little over a year ago now at this point. Attracted some absolutely amazing agents in Canada, and we really focused on getting it right. Let's get the systems in place. Let's get the provinces opened. It's a country we've never done business in. And so did a fantastic job there. And now we've really had a ton of growth. We felt like it was finally time to really, hit the gas. Michael started traveling to Canada. We've got a bunch of events happening. I see Michael in the chat there. Hey, Michael, Michael's traveling to Canada. We've got 4 or 5 events planned for this year. But we recently were in the news, if we can throw that headline up, because we've had some amazing growth. 2 massive teams, Jennifer Jones and Sean Getty, join LPT Realty, bringing more than 150 agents, $480 million in 2025 sales volume. And that set off the momentum for us to grow by almost 1,000 agents since the beginning of the year in Canada. And so absolutely fantastic to see that at a time when I think most brokerages growth is slowing. We continue to accelerate. We have lots of opportunities to continue to grow this thing. There are so many areas and geographies that we have not leaned into yet, so many strategies that we have not yet executed. And Canada was one of them. And so when the time was right, we hit that gas pedal. Michael's been doing an amazing job there. Sean and Jennifer have been amazing. All of our existing LPT agents who laid that foundation, who put in the hard work over the last 12 months as we were figuring things out. Our Canadian founders, absolutely amazing. A big thank you to all of you. I see some of them in the chat here as well. You guys laid the foundation, because without your hard work and your feedback over the last year, we wouldn't have been ready for this meteoric growth. And so really happy to welcome the new folks that are coming to now drive this next level of growth in Canada. And a big thank you to all of our Canadian founders who helped us get this thing this far along. But really excited to be making those headlines in the news today about our growth in Canada.
That's right. Okay, well, let's talk about some additional growth pieces. I know that we went through some rankings last week, and so this week we've got Real Trends.
Yeah, so Risk Media came out with its top 10 brokerages by units last week, and now Real Trends has released their top 10 brokerages by units and volume as well, and we continue to put up pretty similar results. It's pretty exciting. But yeah, so headline here, Real Trend, 2026 Real Trends verified. The power players hold, but the real story is who's gaining ground. And that was the main headline. And one of the sub-headlines in there was LPT Realty's leap signals a new kind of growth engine. Continuing on last year's theme, if there's a breakout story in this year's ranking, it's Robert Palmer's LPT Realty. The firm jumped from number 10 to number 7 in transaction sides, increasing its total to 61,041. That kind of movement in a single year is rare at this scale, and it reinforces a broader trend. Brokerage models built around flexibility, agent economics, and rapid recruiting are still gaining traction. So it's a great article out there on Real Trends. We can go to the next slide here, Dave. And so this chart looks really familiar because it is almost the exact same. Surprisingly enough, there was one change on the top 10 between Real Trends and Risk Media, and that was Howard Hanna. So if we can go back, sorry, Dave, we're not ready to move on yet. So Howard Hanna had agent count increase on Risk Media and an agent count decrease on Real Trends. I don't know what happened there.
How'd that work?
So anyway, but other than that, all the numbers match up the same. So once again, we are the fastest growing percentage side. We can go on to the next one now, Dave. Fastest growing, by percentage of transaction growth of the top 10 brokerages, with 361% 2-year growth, 67% 1-year growth. We also had the highest agent count percentage of growth. If we can go to the next one there, 169% agent count growth over 2 year, 43% over 1 year. And what you'll notice there is the transaction count continues to grow faster than the agent count, which is a story that we are very, very proud of, because we know as agents get into the ecosystem, they are becoming more productive. And again, we're not looking at agent productivity as a way to leave people behind. I think a lot of brokerages make that mistake. We've heard it in some of the earnings calls lately. We're offboarding our low producing agents. I've heard this in 2 large companies' earnings calls that they're giving to Wall Street. We're offboarding, low producing agents. Like, why do you want to turn your back on people? Like, why do you want to offboard people for struggling in what is the worst market in 30 years? And I know why, because they want to artificially inflate their agent productivity up, which to me is we talked about this a couple weeks ago, it's a vanity metric. Like, it's not a real thing. What we look at is, are the agents who are plugged into our platform becoming more productive and doing more business with listing power tools, with all the things we offer, with the home buyer workbooks and home buyer power tools? And the answer is yes, absolutely. But am I going to turn my back? Are we going to turn our back on the agent who's struggling right now because we want to artificially inflate up our units per? Absolutely not. I mean, this just is not how we do business. And I'll tell you, when the market does turn and when the market explodes and boomsday comes, they're going to be very upset about that strategy, because this industry is going to need more great folks. Like, we're going to need agents to come in off the sidelines and help serve customers, buyers, and sellers. And we see those agents joining teams. There's just so much in this ecosystem. And I just don't understand this idea of abandoning people when really they need you the most. Right, and so it's not something we will ever do. And so, if you're out there listening and you're focused on being in a brokerage with a high per unit agent count because they're going to leave people behind, this isn't it. Like, you got the wrong one. There's a lot of brokerages that are going to think that way. We're not. We're here for everybody. Whatever that individual definition of success is, from an agent who's going to do 1 or 2 deals this year, but they're going to do a fantastic job for their customer, or our teams that are doing 2,000 plus units a year. We're here for everyone's individual definition of success. And you're not going to catch me on an earnings call to Wall Street telling investors that we're offboarding low producing agents. Again, it's just nonsense. So again, we're here for everybody. Our numbers reflect it. The growth is real. We continue to dominate. And
Yeah, that's it's exciting. And I mean, it's like we said, you know, everyone starts someplace in the journey. And that doesn't mean that we have a bunch of people who are not winning. We've got people who are having their best years ever, even in this market. But there are people who are struggling because of the market. And there are people who need that help because maybe there was a period in time where they were doing a little bit better and now they're not doing quite as well and they would like to do something different. And so we want to build tools and encourage those people to continue to grow. And, you know, that's just, like you said, it's a vanity metric. We want to put this number out just because, like, it doesn't make any difference to anyone just to say it,
right.
but it has real impact to the people that you're leaving. It's just ridiculous.
I want to highlight the number one brokerage by agent productivity is Redfin by a massive margin, right? Redfin, 25 units per agent per year. And I saw when we posted this, somebody was in the comments and was like, oh, only Redfin cares about their agents or wants their agents to be successful. It's actually the opposite. Like Redfin puts you on a W-2. And if you don't hit your numbers, Redfin fires you. Like your medical benefits go away. You lose your unpaid vacation time. Like you're out. And so again, like that's not our vision for this industry. Like this is, to me, is about uniting entrepreneurs. And I think if you look at that, the least entrepreneurial brokerage on that whole chart has the highest productivity per agent. And so to me, again, it's a vanity metric. It's not about entrepreneurs building businesses. It's not about people being able to focus on their consumers. And I mean, 25 units average. I mean, that's just, it's insane. But again, we don't aspire to be Redfin, right? We don't aspire to put you all on, you know, W-2s and control your lives. Like we are here to support your individual definition of success to help you win. So again, we're going to focus on what we think matters the most, and that is transaction count outgrowing agent count, which it continues to do. And look, and the fact that we're still growing. I mean, if you throw that chart back up, Davey, but if you look on the right there, there's a lot of down red arrows, right? There's a lot of brokerages whose agent counts are dropping, you know, down 14%, down 14%. You know, you got a lot of bad numbers on there. And so if you're failing your agents, if you're failing to help them reach your individual definitions of success, they're going to leave.
That's right.
And again, it's just not how we think about the business.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So you recently had some interview time. When we first started, Dave actually had it up on the intro where we have leaders in the news. And so you were doing an interview with Housing Wire, was it right?
Yeah. So I did. I'm going to be speaking at Housing Wire's Gathering Conference coming up at the end of the month. And so they had me on their podcast to talk about the industry. Actually, I got some really nice feedback. I got a couple of great LinkedIn messages. You know, people are like, refreshing. Like, we're not used to hearing a CEO talk this way.
I think we have some clips.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So as we look at this belief that teams are going to grow, teams are going to continue to play a bigger and bigger role in our industry, I think that you're going to see most of the franchise layer, those small local franchises, will be displaced by teams over the next 10 to 15 years. And it will be teams supporting agents in the way that local franchises support agents today. I think we're going to see more and more of that. And so we want to be in the way of progress. We're all in on investing in technology that we think helps our teams fulfill their vision, because then that vision ultimately helps our independent agents survive, you know, and thrive and grow and reach their definition of success.
Yeah. So, you know, you've talked about this a lot about the teams replacing what the function of a mom and pop or a franchise brokerage would be, and kind of plugging into this system, and that allowing them to actually help more individual agents than maybe what was a franchise layer would do before.
Yeah, it's funny when we say this. So I want to clarify. I feel like every time we say this, someone hears, "Oh, he thinks teams are going to replace agents." Like that's not what we're saying.
Yeah.
We think teams are going to replace the local franchise offices, right?
Correct.
Like if you go look at your local Remax, your local Keller Williams, your local Century 21, your local ERA, we think teams are going to replace that. We think teams are going to have the brick and mortar. We think teams are going to provide that local, you know, kind of business unit, and then agents who choose to can join those teams. And I really believe there's going to be this hybrid in the future where the definition of team member starts to change. We already have teams now at LPT who have like a solo agent plan, right? I mean, it's almost like an oxymoron, right? Like I'm joining a team on their solo agent plan. Like our current language doesn't fit where this is going, right? Because if you really think about it, there is no such thing as a truly solo agent, because everyone has to work for a brokerage, right? Unless you are a broker owner of one. This is the only actual solo or independent or individual agent truly in the industry, is if someone gets their, you know, in Florida, gets their Florida broker's license and is a broker of one. Otherwise, you're always a part of something. You're a part of a brokerage, right? And in the old days, that brokerage was that local franchise office. Well, now that we've moved the brokerage up into this higher plane, it creates a new opportunity for how agents interact with those local teams, how they can interact directly with the cloud brokerage. And so the language is going to need to change, because it's not going to be as black and white as like, okay, well, I'm on a team or I'm not on a team. I'm a solo agent. I'm a team leader. And I think we're really focused on how do we create an ecosystem that allows that to mature and progress naturally. And if you look at the other cloud brokerages, the other big national brokerages, they put a minimum team split on their economics. And so if the team leader doesn't take a certain amount, then that solo agent plan doesn't work. They can't join, right? And so this has really, I think, stifled innovation. And so with our rise and this model where really agents and teams can negotiate on whatever terms they want, we're going to see, I think, an acceleration in this new, again, I love the word hybrid, right? We have hybrid model here, rev share, no rev share, brokerage partner, business builder. I think you're going to see similar situations happening in teams. So really focused on supporting that individual definition of success, and very focused on making sure that entrepreneurs can figure out how to work together in a way where we're not overly burdening them with guidelines and restrictions. Oh, well, your economics have to at least be this or that. And I think that's been a big part of our success and of our growth. And again, at the end of the day, my focus is making sure that no matter what your individual definition of success is, you can find it here. If you're a solo agent, you decide, you know what, I want to join a team. Well, there's amazing teams at LPT for you to join. If we didn't have that layer, you'd have to leave LPT to go find a great team somewhere else. Right. If you want to be an amazing solo agent and just go, like, that's what you can do here. And that's the beauty of what we're building, is no matter what that individual definition of success is, no matter how big of a business you want to build as a quote unquote individual agent, as a team leader, starting a team, launching a team, building your individual business, taking some time off because something's going on in your life, and not having your brokerage offboard you and abandon you for not closing enough deals. Like, we're committed to that across the entire ecosystem. And I talk a lot about that on that podcast with Housing Wire. We also get into private listing networks and preview showing. We talk about mortgage and why LPT doesn't have a mortgage company that we're trying to force our agents to use. As a 20-year mortgage guy, why I think that's so critical, that it is agent choice. And I told this story to a group of team leaders recently. When I was a loan officer back in the day, like, I was great. Like, I was a really good loan officer, like, way back in the day. And you have to think through that. Like, if a brokerage like us is like, oh, we're going to launch LPT mortgage and try to get our agents to use it, there are amazing loan officers all over the country that we are now alienating, right? And that just wasn't how we wanted to do this. I think as a mortgage guy, I see it through a different lens. Yeah. Like, I recognize the complexity. I think what I really understand is how powerful that right relationship is. Like, when the right loan officer and the right agent get together, it's like magic, like the getting out there to open houses together, solving deals together, solving problems together. Like, it really can create this magic. I mean, I used to go door knocking with agents. Like, it really is a fantastic relationship when you get it right. And I think that's why I'm so against getting in the way of it. Yeah. Like, again, we want to create as much opportunity here as we can for everybody. And part of that is not getting in the way of those amazing relationships.
Yeah. I love your thought process on that. I know that's something that people have asked for a long time. Like, why can't we do this? We want to, and you've always talked about it from this lens for the last almost 4 or 5 years. And so I'm like that you continue to think about it that way, but maybe there's an opportunity in the future. We'll see. That's my own personal thoughts. That's just my thoughts. But I very much appreciate and agree with what you're saying. All right. So we're going to go over to Deloitte real quick. They recognized us for some growth metrics. And so this is kind of moving towards the Wall Street side. Walk us through why that's important for this metric.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about our growth in the industry, right? And so obviously, fastest growing by percentage on risk media, and now fastest growing by percentage on real trends. And so I just want to take a kind of a look back at the first fast growing award we won, the one that I think is probably the most important of all, because it's across all technology companies. And that was our Deloitte Fast 500 award. And so maybe those of you that are newer to the brokerage, Deloitte Fast 500 recognized us as the second fastest growing tech company, and we're a real estate firm. And so then Real Estate News came out with a headline that said, fastest growing tech company is a real estate firm with revenue growth up nearly 30,000% over 3 years. Absolutely amazing growth. So we were number 2 overall on the Technology Fast 500 for North America from Deloitte. And then if we look at that in the real estate lens, there were a handful of real estate related companies who made the Deloitte Fast 500. And you can see the top, I think that's the top, what is that, top 6 here. So we came in number 2 overall, number 1 real estate company with almost 30,000% growth. A company called Rentvine came in at 18 with 6,800% growth. Closing Lock, 44 with 2,700% growth. Real, another cloud brokerage, came in at number 100, 939% growth. Pad Split at 685 and Rent Ready at 627. And so again, I mean, you can see the speed at which we grow, massive. I mean, 7 versus almost 30,000% between us and the next fastest growing real estate related entity in our industry. And so again, this is from Deloitte. Deloitte's a Big 4 audit firm. They put out this Technology Fast 500. I believe it is the unquestionable, most credible ranking of growth across technology companies. Got to go up to the New York Stock Exchange and give a little speech for being the fastest growing, number 2 in the country, number 1 in real estate. Really proud of that. And again, this is a testament to all of you, right? All of these awards, fastest growing by percentage on Real Trends and Risks, fastest growing by percentage of almost all tech companies. There's one that inched us out, and absolutely of all real estate companies. It's a testament to the fact that we are looking at things differently. We have changed the model. We're not just doing it the same way as everyone else. We're building something really special here. And the fact that it is anchored in that commitment to agent choice, to individual definition of success, to not chasing vanity metrics, to not offboarding agents who are quote unquote not meeting our unit count metrics or whatever. All of that together is different and it's unique. And I think it really is. It's why this national entity brokerage, this non-franchised, new structure of brokerage is the future. But when we looked at the legacy companies who built that, right, the first class of kind of, cloud or national brokerage is, 10 to 15 years old at this point. And I think there's just things they got wrong. And so being younger, being newer, coming on the scene only 4 years ago, it's hard to believe this is only a 4-year-old. And sometimes I feel like it's hard to believe we're only a 4-year-old company because of all the success and the growth. At other times I look back and I'm like, man, I can't believe we've been at this for 4 years. Like, it feels like yesterday that we had this crazy idea to launch this brokerage. So thankful and proud of each and every one of you for being a part of this journey with us. All of these growth awards are about you. Without that, we'd just be 2 guys, sitting up here and talking to no one. We need you out there doing what you do. Your ability to connect with your consumers in a local way, your ability to be that absolutely amazing local expert. Like, this is what drives excellence. This is what drives success. And so a big thank you to each and every one of you for being a part of this family, for being a part of this team, and for helping us break down these barriers, because you are becoming the mountain. You are paving the way for the next you. You're paving the way for the next person to have an easier climb, to have a better chance of success in this industry, because you took a chance on a company that wanted to do things differently. You took a chance on a company who wanted to put the agent first, who wanted to give agent choice, truly put the agent first, not just make it a tagline, actually give choice, recognize individual agents, individual definition of success. If you're offboarding an agent for being a low producer, are you putting them first?
Yeah.
I would say probably not.
Yeah.
Putting you all and your choices and your definition of success above our own. And again, you all taking the risk on that, you all saying, we're going to give this thing a try. We're going to take a risk on this LPT thing. You are now, you have paved the way for the next agent coming behind you, the next entrepreneur coming behind you, to have an easier path to success. And that's what becoming the mountain is all about. You all have heard me say this. We didn't come to climb the mountain. We came to be the mountain. And what that means is after we finish our climb, we become the mountain for the next entrepreneur who's going to climb up after us, so that they can fulfill their mission and they can fulfill their individual definition of success. And then we ask them to become the mountain too. And that's how we impact as many lives as possible. So with that, I hope everybody has an absolutely amazing week. We'll see you back here next Monday on Motivation Monday. We're going to leave you with a slide for FallCon tickets. FallCon coming up in October at the RP Funding Center. Really excited to spend time with each and every one of you. We're going to throw that slide up, grab your tickets. Hope to see you there, but we will definitely see you back here next week on Motivation Monday.